Attention, Rex Manning fans. To your left, you will notice a shoplifter being chased by night manager Lucas. This young man will be caught deep fried in a vat of hot oil and served to our first 100 customers. Just another tasty treat from the gang here at Empire Records. My name is Kevin. Welcome to Couch Potato Theater here on the Fandom Podcast Network. You may own your favorite movies digitally or on physical media. However, when they air on cable TV, you love what you're watching so much, you don't get off that couch. And that is a definition of what this show is all about. Welcome to Couch Potato Theater. We are discussing Empire Records, a.k.a. Rex Manning Day on April 8th. Empire Records came out in 1995, has become a cult hit and a fan favorite, and of course spawned Rex Manning Day. So guys, let's go ahead and get everyone back in the show. With me is my co-host of Blood of Kings, a Highlander fandom group. Here we go, Mr. Not Worn, Lee Fillingsness. What's up, buddy?
I'm superb.
Are you sure you're
superb?
Good to have you, man. How you doing?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling superb, in fact. It's Rex Manning Day. You can't really complain on a day like today.
It is Rex Manning Day, April 8th. Rex Manning Day, yes. All right, guys. We still got more. We still got more here at Empire Records. With us back is Warren, a.k.a. Lacey Adderhold. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing really good, man. Good to have you. Good to have you. It's good to have you on a Couch Potato Theater. Been doing a lot of time warp together. So
yes.
Good. All right.
Indeed.
So we got Warren and we got Not Warren. With us is Mark with a C. Alex Autry. What's up, buddy?
Hey, I don't feel I should have to explain my art to you.
Always mess with their minds.
So good to have you guys. We are releasing this on April 8th, Rex Manning Day. And we're going to get into Rex Manning Day a little bit later in the show, but we're going to be discussing Empire Records, as my DVD right here, this cult hit from 1995. Is it a cult hit? We'll discuss that a little bit more. But first, let's get into a quick little plot description here. All right. Empire Records is going to be turned into a music town, but it's up to the wacky employees to figure out a way to raise enough money to help their boss, Joe Reeves, played by Anthony LaPaglia, keep the store from changing hands. They also deal with problems amongst themselves, love, and a has-been spoiled rock star named Rex Manning, played by the brilliant Maxwell Caulfield. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get right into this here. Alex, I blame you.
It stands to reason that that's probably the case. Yeah.
You reminded us last year coming up on this time here that it was Rex Manning Day. If you know, you know. Mm-hmm. And I want to, first of all, I want to get the first time you saw this film. Did you see it in the theater, and what kind of impact did it have?
No, I did not see this in theater. So 1995, I was in the middle of my video store days. So working at Suncoast, working at Movie Town, working at Hollywood Video, Suncoast Motion Picture Company, all these different ones. And every time I was there, we had the poster in our various stores, locations, and everything like that. So I didn't see it until it was on video, and I grabbed it the first night that it was available because I wanted to see what this movie was. And I may have already had the soundtrack because the soundtrack's amazing. Mm-hmm. And I remember watching it at home, and I know for a fact that I didn't get home until like 1 or 2 in the morning because I was, working at a video rental place, and put it on, and I just sat and watched it. And just absolutely fell in love with it on the first viewing.
Lacey, did you see this in the theater? Did you see it on video?
I did see it in the theater. I loved it. I too was working at Suncoast Video at the time. And
I'm
also,
sensing a trend here.
and also Blockbuster, I think, at the time. It could have been Hollywood Video. but same thing for us. Every night when we would close, we would put it on and play it while we were, closing up the store. So we all just loved it.
Awesome. Very cool. Lee, what about you, man? When did you first see this film?
I saw this when I was working in a movie theater, same one that I was working in when we did the 95 thing. And basically, the stoner kid that also works at the pizza place.
Yeah.
Our that guy. It's like, guys, you got to see this movie. And we're like, and it looks like, the Gen X crap that we didn't want to watch because we were the cool kids that didn't do that stuff. But he popped it in the VCR because he had the right. And like just open to close, we love this movie. And it was another one, like, I realize why I like it so much. It's like Caddyshack. It's not about one of them. It's not about even like the plot description you gave, like that's like plot notes. It's like, it's not about any of that. It's literally about this location. It's about these people interacting, but like, there's no main character. There's no one journey that we follow. It's this day and these people that interact in such a fascinating way. And, they sort of try to help him, save the empire, but that's not the purpose of them being there. That, they're all this crazy stuff happens and we follow it. And I thought it was just a fascinating movie.
I think I saw that in the theater because this would have been one of those that I would have definitely wanted to go see because I love the idea, the setting of it. Huge crushing on Liv Tyler at the time, of course. She was in all the Aerosmith videos and such, and Aerosmith was blowing up, and Aerosmith was kind of like doing a lot of their rock ballads and stuff like that. And so I knew who she was. The others, not so much at the time. I don't remember the theater experience, but I do remember watching it again on video later on. But I had not revisited this film in quite a long time until recently, last year, actually, thanks to you, Alex. It probably had been 20 years since I originally saw it back then. And, I've got the DVD here, and it's funny. I'm not a fan of these DVDs with like the cardboard cover, and you guys are familiar with it. And then they got the weird proof of purchases that are in here as well for other promotional stuff. I remember actually mailing a bunch of those in to get some extra DVDs. But I remember there was a lot of things that I liked about it. But it was also known for its soundtrack, which we'll get into a little bit later. But I did want to mention a little bit of production notes here. New Regency got into a bidding war with Warner Brothers over the script. Carol Heikkinen was offered $325,000 up front and $200,000 if the film was made. Carol also received 1% of any of the soundtrack royalties and 5% of the merchandise sales. I'm going to say they probably made more money off the soundtrack than the merchandise sales. Carol based the film on her time working in Tower Records, store 166 in Christown Mall in Phoenix, Arizona. Tower Records went into bankruptcy, and all the Tower stores in the U.S. were closed by 2006. 2 days after Regency Enterprises executive Michael Nathanson gave approval to proceed with making Empire Records, he was approached with the script for Clueless. As he already had a teen movie in hand, he turned down the eventual $57 million box office hit and proceeded with production of the eventual $0.3 million box office bomb, Empire Records. Mark, aka Alex, I wanted to get your thoughts on this because you obviously, just like our peers here, you worked in a movie or in a video rental type place. Yeah. Was this obvious off the bat? Because, and I'll get into the the box office a little bit more later, but I don't remember it being in the theater very long.
To be honest, I was not aware that it made it to theaters. I always knew it as this movie that was coming, this movie that was coming, this movie that was coming. Here it is on video. So I genuinely had no idea that this movie got released. It may have escaped. But yeah, to me, I had no idea. And this is one that I would have gone to see in theaters. simply because I like these weird comedies like this. And this is more than just comedy. This is a solid, the adults don't understand and they need to listen to these kids that are around them, while they're just as screwed up as everybody else, kind of movies. And, this is the same time that we're seeing films like Clerks and Pulp Fiction and these like smaller films that are blowing up. And there's no reason why this movie shouldn't have done the same, except that it didn't.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you touched on the next question I wanted to ask, but if you wanted to elaborate more, and that was, how does this movie stand out from others? Because when I look back at it, there's a lot of cool topics that we can discuss on, whether it's the fashion or whether it's just the music industry at the time, or even the dichotomy, the relationship between the friends and what was important to them. What do you what is it about this film that is different to you, that it stands out from others?
The characters are believable. Mm-hmm. You have AJ, who's like been pining for somebody that he works with. There's not a single person in retail who hasn't gone through that experience. You've got Lucas, who is just, I don't know if Lucas is the Jiminy Cricket, like the moral balance of the place, or not. You've got Mark, who is just the hyperactive one. You have Eddie, who works multiple jobs just to keep himself going, and yet still wants to teach. You've got Burko, who's there. You've got like all these different characters. The Zellweger and Tyler together as best friends who you can't tell why they're best friends.
Yeah,
because they're so incredibly different. And what's the one thing they have in common? It's the store.
That's a good point. Yeah,
they are friends because of the store, and I don't think anything else.
Lee, what about you? What resonated with this film? What makes it stand out for you?
Well, I think it's incredibly genuine. Like all the characters, it's very easy to fall into a lot of tropes. I mean, just the picture you put up here. I mean, we've got Robin Tunney playing like this rebellious character, but with pain, and you've got Renée Zellweger playing kind of the promiscuous girl, but there is an actual animus behind like the caricature that these characters could have been. The relationships are very genuine. Even, you kind of mentioned Mark earlier, like normally the metalhead is kind of like crazy, over the top. And he's this sweet kid that just likes metal and he's goofy. And like they went a very true route instead of like the overworn tropes. And I think that made it stand out a lot. And I think, again, that it's not about one of them. Lucas could have been the main character. It could have been Liv Tyler. It could have been a lot of different people, but there's not a main character in this movie. And even you were talking about Burko, just that one little scene that he has with Sinead Rebellion here, you get a sense of how much love and pain there is in 30 seconds. And it's so well done. You imagine there's probably an entire subplot cut out, but you don't even question it until you like watch it critically. And then you're like, they did it right. It's really good.
Lacey, what about you? What makes it special for you?
I think, when you watch something like The Breakfast Club or St. Elmo's, and each character has their own thing, but they're checking a box. You've got a nerd and a princess and a bad boy, whatever. But this kind of took that and turned it on its ear, because each one of them, none of them fit into a box. That's what made them more real to me.
That's a good point. Excellent point. Yeah.
Because you've got, everybody fits into 3 or 4 different boxes. Like he was saying with Mark. Mark is like this innocent, sweet, adorable guy who's a skater and like wants to make out with a picture on the side of the building. But at the same time, he's like, moshing to Guar in the middle of the store and then letting Eddie bring him mixtapes to learn about other stuff. So he's just, he fits like 17 boxes, which is nice.
Eddie feels like the mother figure to me.
Yeah.
And can we shout out Guar real quick? That is the
Guar.
best damn cameo.
Guar's best cameo of any film.
Sorry, Mark, we have to kill you now.
And what's funny is when you see him on stage with Guar, that's a real thing. I've seen Guar live.
Me too.
And it is, and I'd never seen them before. My friend Brendan, who says, you got to go with us to go. I said, okay. And he's like, and I asked that question. I'm like, what concert shirt should I take with me? Because it's always a thing. You got to wear like a concert shirt from another concert, not to the one that you're supposed to go to, like they say in PCU.
Don't be that guy.
And he said, I want you to wear a white t-shirt. And I came out with the weirdest tie-dye shirt that was a combination of fake blood, fake semen, and what other fake stuff they were shooting out in the audience. And I had a blast.
I hope it's fake.
Yeah, can we just go ahead and put fake in quotations?
I did the exact same thing. I was like 17 the first time I saw them, and my boyfriend took me and he was like, "Oh, that little white sundress thing that you wear that you like?" I was like, "You had to wear that." I was covered. I was like right next to the blood gun thing, whatever.
Yeah. I thought that was great that Guar was in there. So definitely worth a shout out there, Lee. The thing that I loved about this movie is that it got working retail with a weird group and a bunch of friends perfect. And there were so many little call outs, not just the dichotomy between the friends or the frenemies or however you want to say it, but little things like when, oh gosh, I'm forgetting her name. The one that shaves her head. She shows up, she's, just shaved her head but she comes up with her drawer of money. And then she's relieving Liv Tyler's character, and she pulls hers out. It's just all those little things that you do in retail, and especially in a record store. I love how they have the record stores, they have the CD, they have the records, the CDs, and there's like the wall of cassette tapes. It was such a thing. And there's a store in Hollywood called Amoeba Music that is basically recreating that. And it's a very popular store. There's one up in, I think, the Bay Area as well, near Berkeley and stuff like that. And there might be one other one. But it's the same type of thing where they have the used DVDs and Blu-rays now, of course. And then they have the records. They have the wall of cassettes, and they're still selling cassettes, which I think is great. But I love that they had this great set that they did their work on. And the posters, everything. It's a stamp in time of what was popular at that time. Even though Rex Manning is a fictional rock star character doing an in-store signings were the shit back in the day. And if you guys had worked at a record store or visited one, especially at those big stores, like what was the store?
Sam Goody, Musicland,
FYE.
Yeah, all those stores. Whenever you had those, or Tower Records too, was huge for rock stars to come in. But those in-store signings were big deals, and you would hear about it on the radio, or you would hear reading about it back in those days. You would read it in your local newspaper, or the biggest way was just word of mouth. Someone would hear about it, and they would just tell everybody. And I love that there was these scheduled events that people were so excited for, whether it was their band showing up or like a director of a movie releasing it on video or Blu. Did that ever happen, Alex, where you would have like actual film people come into these stores and do this? Maybe you can attest to that too, Lacey. But Alex, do you remember any of that happening in video stores?
Not in any of the video stores that I worked at. I will tell you that one time while working at Suncoast, we had a Turtles right below us. In the mall, and
explain what that is to people that don't know.
Turtles was like the record store in the Southlands, and I would assume other places as well. But it was it was a Tower Records kind of thing. It was a record bar place. But they had one in right next to the food court.
Mm-hmm.
And during my time there, they had, I believe his name was Jordan McKnight.
Yes.
From
R&B singer. No. Maybe it was an R&B singer in the mid 90s.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting watching the Rex Manning stuff, because it reminds me of a lot of the comments that get made at science fiction conventions, where it's like, I loved you as a kid.
Yes.
You know, you were my favorite artist when I was younger and didn't know any better.
Mhm.
You know, things like that. But yeah, I think the kids, I can't remember his name, but he was there. And all I know is that right directly across, my buddy Paul worked in a Remington store. So they sold shavers and things like that. And this guy's girlfriend walked in and said, "What do you think of this artist?" And he was pop culture unsavvy and looked right at her and said, "I don't know who that is."
Yeah.
And it's just like, you can suck the life out of a D-list superstar real quick.
Well, what I wanted to jump into here is the record store life. And this can also equate to the video store life as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, and the reason why is a lot of these were mall stores as well. You would have like a store like Empire Records, maybe on a strip or in a popular area that was its own store and not part of like a mall. But a lot of this was happening inside malls too. And before I get to the life itself, what I liked about Empire Records, and I want to throw this picture up here of like a store like Empire Records here, is that if you look closely, there was a transition of, remember the long box CDs?
Mm-hmm.
And then they were, so all of the CD stands were made for long boxes. And then, you know, people started getting mad because it was taking up too much cardboard. Then they had those special plastic holders to take the place of CDs. And then they had the long box DVDs. And I want to show this to you here, you guys. I picked this up. This is for the love, sorry, 2 for the money. And just because I thought this was funny, and you don't really see these a lot anymore.
Yeah.
But this kind of started going into those same places. And it was really clever that you got to see that in this movie. Lacey.
I remember when we finally got the short kiosk shelves, the short brackets, because that meant we could take all of the long CDs and actually use the regular sized ones that weren't, you know, because normally it was like a CD, a DVD like this, or a VHS cassette back then, and it would have like, you know, the little prongs at the bottom just to make the space. And we loved it because everything was so much lighter to carry from the back room.
When they started getting rid of the long box stuff and the CDs were just, you know, in the little shorter cases, that was nice. But it was interesting to see that transition, and you saw that with the movies as well. And then, you know, when you had places like Suncoast and those other stores that sold both music and movies, it was kind of like a one-stop shop for nerddom to a certain degree. And then a lot of them started carrying toys and books and a bunch of other cool things. But when it comes to the actual record store life here, the character Warren, who is the shoplifter, you can tell he's envious. He wants to be part of this group. He wants to be, he thinks that these people have the coolest job in the world. And to be perfectly honest with you guys, these were the coolest job. You might have been paid shit, but it was a cool job. It was a fun place to go. And there was a little bit of superiority complex kind of floating around with some of us and some of the employees, because they knew they had the cool job. But the cool thing was, though, a lot of the people that worked at these places knew their stuff. They knew the music. They knew the movies, and they could recommend these things or make fun of the people that didn't know what they were doing, you know. But it was such part of the lifestyle, from going from the 80s VHS beta and all that into the cassettes and CDs. It was a cool place to go to, and it was a cool place to be. And I want to start with you, Lee. you worked in the movies, obviously, but did you work in any of these? Did you frequent one of these? Did you want to be part of one of these?
Really had this.
Sorry about that.
Oh,
there you go. Sorry.
I'm back. I'm still not Warren. No, I had this experience working at the movie theaters. Just this group of people, crazy, whatever games to kind of keep ourselves motivated. I still, to this day, when I go to see a movie, like I look behind the counter and I just think how much faster I could run things, how much more fun I'd be having. And for a while, we did have that cool manager, magical little leprechaun named Trevor that was constantly angry and constantly supporting us. Very much like Joe in this. I did have a bunch of buddies that worked at Sam Goody, but we didn't have that. The only we have the record store up here, the Electric Fetus, kind of famous for association with Prince. That still is this kind of record store and always has been. But the Midwest, it's not the same thing with the record store. It was just the mall store. And it was very much the Music Town experience, no revealing clothing, blah, blah, blah.
Gotcha. Alex, what about you? You doing Suncoast and all the movies. I know you experienced this and you knew people like this in the store.
Oh gosh. Yeah. When you're working in a video store, you're working in a record store, you're going to be you're considered the cool one because you're working in a cool item. I'm not working in shoes. Therefore, I'm cooler than shoes. But what was funny is, and when I was working for Suncoast, in my first 30 days, I had to take an exam.
Mm-hmm.
I had to take a written test to test my knowledge. And if I didn't get higher than a 90, I was fired. And it was, there's some questions.
Do you remember the questions on that? That's fascinating.
The one I remember the most is name the 3 films that have won Best Picture, Actor, Actress, Director, and Screenplay.
Oh, wow. God, I don't even know that one.
It happened one night. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Silence of the Lambs.
Wow.
They're the only 3 to sweep all 5. So, and that one, that's just one that gets in your head.
You can't look that up on the internet at that time to cheat.
No, you couldn't. You had the flip book encyclopedia up front that you could flip through and find movie titles.
Yeah.
And that only told you whether or not it had ever been released on video, not if you could order it. But we had to know our stuff. So, I mean, like for us, working at the video store was fun because, we're watching movies and selling the things that we really enjoyed. And it's the same thing with the record store people. They were doing what they love. But I guarantee you, when I was 16, when I was Warren's age, I was at Record Bar. I was at Turtles. I was at every record store I could go to.
And he brought a gun.
To try to get a job there. And
Turtles must have been a regional area because I don't remember that in California. That sounds like a really cool place.
Turtles was interesting. Oz Records would have been more your taste.
Okay.
Oz Records was completely based off Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
And you legitimately everything was behind glass. So you couldn't just walk up to the front with the record or the cassette.
Gotcha.
And if you got a cassette, you pulled it off the wall because it gave you a little bit of room, and it would drop onto a conveyor belt, and a flying monkey would come from the back with your item and would drop it off at the front of the place. And that's how they handled shoplifting.
Nice.
They had this monkey on a wire, and it was Oz Records.
His name was Warren.
Yeah. Lacey, give me your thoughts on this culture here. What experience did you have? And it was cool, right?
Yeah, it was great. We had a blast, and it's very much our Suncoast was a little bit different in that we had each person had their own kind of genre. I had worked with my friend Justin, who we worked in a movie theater together when I was in high school. And just after, and his little sister was at Suncoast, and I happened in there one day and we talked about this and that, and she was like, you should work here. I was like, oh, okay. And like 3 days later, I found out that they were related. But it was one of those things. I was big into like the comedies and like the teen kind of genre, whatever. The manager was big into horror flicks, and one of the other managers was like really into like the awards stuff, all the Oscar winners and that kind of thing. So we all had kind of our own little sections. And it was awesome. We had a great time. We would often be sent to either Sam Goody or was it Walden Books? I think it was, because the three were owned by the same company. So every once in a while they'd need someone to cover a shift.
They were all under the Musicland banner.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I tell you what, I was not the music person. They would send me there and I would literally just stand at the front and like greet people, but the books were more my style, so I could kind of hold my own there. But it was all about just having fun and making sure that things were organized. And I got to tell you, organizing was my favorite thing to do. I would literally spend hours just waiting on people to come in and organizing, alphabetizing everything in each of the different sections because I'm that nerd.
It's funny you say that, Lacey, because my wife Erin, she worked at a place in Australia called JB High Five, and it's still around. It's like I call it if Best Buy was extra awesome, and they still are quite busy there, and they have they have obviously movies and records and CDs, and even have appliances and TVs and stuff like that, and she worked at a comic and game store when she was in London as well. And this type of group was the type of people. And she's always talking about these great stories and how they still stay in touch and remember the old times. And, it's interesting because when you guys were talking about how there were certain employees that had their specialties, she was the horror fan, but like you, Lacey, she loved organizing stuff. She was really good at that, and her boss knew that. And at JB High Five, she knew how to organize stuff. And then there was always the crew picks, and that was always a little interesting thing too, because you're wondering like, who's this Amy girl and why does she also like Star Wars, and and you want to meet these people like, and you'd hear about their names and you go, oh, wait a minute, you're Steven, you're a horror fan, or, you liked Blade Runner 2. And there's just all these little things when it came to even the music picks as well, the crew picks. It's just it's a wonderful thing. Not Warren Lee.
I just realized that I completely spaced on the one record store I ever frequented. And it was what got me on the DVD kick. It was a place in Iowa City. Can't remember the name of it for the life of me, but I'd walk in every Tuesday because that's when DVDs would drop. And I would hear, bro. And this was before this stuff was on available online. You got to see what we got in. And I remember him pulling out
bro.
the collector's edition of Big Trouble in Little China, and it was just like you could hear but like every time I'd walk in, he'd be like, "Yeah, we got this coming out, man. It's coming up in a couple weeks." Like I was trying to complete my View Askew set, but Clerks was only available like Criterion, which was like $55, and I was a college kid. I didn't have it, and he's like, "Oh man. This copy here of Reality Bites, enjoy it." And he scanned Reality Bites and he gave me Clerks. And I always appreciated that. But the guy always had, like, he would pull stuff for me. He's like, yeah, man, I know you like this kind of stuff, and I had like all these crazy Chinese Kung Fu movies. I had, he gave me Highlander Endgame 3 days early because it came in. He's like,
that's a really good example of the relationships that you would have with people that worked at these stores if you did not, that they knew what you liked and they would cater to what they would keep in their inventory, saying, hey, Kevin, we got that copy that you're asking for. I remember buying RoboCop on VHS for $90 because the guy knew. I said, look, when this comes out, I want to see it. He's like, that's going to be expensive. It's like, I know, I'm going to be ready for it. I'll save up for it. And I had a fresh copy waiting for me as soon as it came out. But that's another thing that this movie does is it just it takes you back into that time, and maybe there's certain things in this film, Empire Records, that maybe didn't happen to you. But everyone glued a quarter to the floor. That was a thing anyway. But
Why?
We don't have to explain our art to you, not Warren.
But I love that it might shake a memory of stuff that happened to you. And even in these break room scenes, which are genius, because there's always weird stuff going in the break rooms at any retail store. I've got stories with that. When it comes to the posters, Guy. Oh, Lacey, did you have something you want to say?
I was just going to say, our back room extended into the mall hallways.
Yeah.
The hallways behind all the stores in the mall that, the regular folk don't know about, the
little secret passages.
The corridors.
Every one of us had our like hookups in the food court.
Sodom and Gomorrah was happening back there. I know it.
No, we would have our hookups in the food court where we could go to, Cinnabon or wherever our favorite food was, and get our lunches were always free because we'd always hold that one copy of whatever it was,
right?
That like Kevin wanted, or Jeff or whoever, and they'd come and meet us at the back door, and we'd ring it up for them and just bring them out the back door on their break because they wouldn't have time to come in.
Yeah,
I guess we weren't really supposed to do that out the back door, but whatever.
I do miss the mall like barter system. Like you'd be like, oh yeah, I work here, I got this, you can use my discount, blah blah, the back and forth.
Yep.
It was the craziest thing. Like I hadn't even thought of that, because I haven't done it since I was 18. But yeah, that was
back
fun.
And forth with movie theaters too. Movie theaters would give us free tickets if we would give them our like leftover screener copies and stuff like that. All the stuff that we got free. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the standees were big.
If you could get a standee, you were gold. We had 2 doors down from us, the Great American Cookie Company.
Nice.
Which would sell us 32-ounce Cokes for 73 cents and 3 cookies for 50.
Yep.
With unlimited refills.
Oh, that was golden, man.
So we would work like a 6-hour shift and drink like 12 32-ounce beverages. And then wonder why we weren't going to sleep for days.
The mall life and these record stores and video stores, we all look back with wonderful nostalgia in those days, because they were just it was just a great place to visit and hang out and not be at home in case it wasn't as good as others, basically. But back to Empire Records here, guys. We had posters, but there was just pretty much one poster, and Liv Tyler there in the front, and that's pretty much all you got. And we got some taglines here: open till midnight. They're selling music, but not selling out. Damn the man, save the empire. This music is the glue of the world. It holds it all together. And what's with today? I want to get your guys' favorite scenes and moments in the movie. And Lacey, I'm going to start with you.
I love the conversation any conversation with Lucas is hilarious. Just kind of push those up because I feel like everyone else is gonna have a Lucas one. The 1:37 p.m. conversation with AJ trying to figure out when he's gonna tell her that he's in love with her. When Renée Zellweger and Liv Tyler get into the argument at the pizza place and she throws the bra and everything, and Eddie's like, "You forgot your thingy." It's probably one of my favorite lines in the entire film. The Vegas scene is delightful. I can't even describe it. If you haven't seen it, you just have to. It's the first 2 minutes of the film, and it's absolutely hilarious.
Atlantic City.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Atlantic City. Yeah.
Pretty much the same though. Alex, what about you? What are some of your favorite scenes and moments?
Okay, so the Atlantic City scene is phenomenal because it is such a it pushes you in one direction in which it's absolutely not. Because he's walking through, he pulls the handle, jackpot, calls the number on the roulette wheel,
22
all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Does all of this stuff, and you're like, oh man, he's it's the phrase the zone. And then he does it and everything's great, and then everything's not great. And then from there, we have this whole thing of the rest of the movie is everybody getting what happened in Atlantic City wrong.
Mhm.
Because everybody's
Yeah.
heard it from somebody who heard it from somebody who, and it's just such a that whole sequence, because it keeps coming back, is great. But the conversations with Warren,
Yes.
because I had seen that kid in Welcome to the Dollhouse and thought he was exceptional in that, especially since I didn't like Welcome to the Dollhouse. And there he is in this movie being a shoplifter, and he's doing everything he's doing in this film is exactly how you should shoplift at a record store.
Yeah.
Because we had the same problem. We had the little scanner things on the bottom. It was a 2-pronged setup, and it was not uncommon to find those the bottoms of videos torn off in the back of the store, because that's where they would take them to cut them, and they toss them behind the t-shirts.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything he's doing in that is straight from the Shoplifter's Handbook.
Yeah. That's a good point. Lee, what are some of your favorite moments?
Honestly, the one I started with, "You'll be fine, Joe. You're a superb manager." What's that? Superb. Say it again, wise ass. Superb. And then just that savage beating. You know you deserve that, right? Yeah. But there's it's the weird little moments, like, and I didn't clock it when I watched it the first time, but when he's talking about how his mom made him a ward of the state, and then Joe came and rescued him, and then he kind of got his life straightened out, and then a few minutes later, they're having that conversation on the couch. What are we going to do? And it's like he's mirroring, but you realize, oh, these guys, these characters have lived together for years, and the way that they interact is so real. Like, this is the big brother that I never had, like there's this anger and love, just really funny. I love the people in line for the thing, especially like the ones that make it about them, because that's the crazy old singing lady.
Yeah.
We had one of those at a restaurant I worked at, and she would try to sing for a free dessert, and it was just the most embarrassing thing for her husband. He'd be like, "Damn it, Jenny, no." Well, sometimes, and she would just start singing. It was like, "Why are you doing this? I'm going to put this on your bill, and you will pay for it." But it's just the insanity of it. Or the guy that catches the kiss and just fades. It's like, you just made that up. And I will say, having paneled that chair, him not wanting to sit in that chair, that is not prima donna. He knows that he's going to be sitting there for hours. That is not a comfortable chair. He gets a comfy chair. I will say that in this instant, Rex Manning did the right thing.
I know Kevin showed his DVD earlier. That is the director's cut, the fan experience, I think is what it's called. And that one is the only version that actually tries to redeem Rex Manning. The regular version, Rex, when he walks off, we never see him again. Rex is a jerk from the beginning of the movie until he leaves. And it's not until this version that's on DVD comes along that actually shows him talking to Burko, actually singing with Burko, explaining what happens at the end, why there's no Burko at the top of the thing, because he's been arrested with Rex Manning.
And also, there's a deleted scene where Renee's character is singing another song with Burko on the top, and he's down there kind of singing and partying along with them. So
it's Say No More, Mo More, because they pull him up on stage.
They
pull him up to perform.
My favorite moments are, I really like when they just take the music break and they just start turning on and dancing to a song. And one of my favorites, of course, is when Anthony's character starts getting on the drums and they're doing the AC/DC song, If You Want Blood. I love that too, but I love the fact, and it's a thing, the veto rule, how they, because they all have different music tastes and stuff, and obviously they want to play all the music they like. And I like how they have that rule. You know, they have one veto rule to get past that.
And they all like the music. Like, it's not like they're all like everybody's dancing along to it. Like, I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah,
definitely.
Did you guys, although
I
do want to point out, that if you want blood, starts in the back.
Yeah.
Okay. Joe sets it up. Joe starts playing it.
Yeah.
The boss comes in, and you can actually hear the vetoes stopping on the floor. So it's like, that's a neat trick.
I wanted to touch on if you guys had any favorite quotes, because I think this movie is quotable for many reasons. And one of mine is where Warren goes, "Stop calling me Warren. My name isn't effing Warren." And he's like, "His name isn't Warren." Corey, "His name isn't Warren." Burko, "His name isn't Warren." Mark, "I thought his name was Warren." Lacey, you got some lines you like?
So many lines. I loved Debi Mazar and her, like, when she quits and she's just, what would she say?
I went to rock and roll heaven and I wasn't on the guest list.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I think still the best line for me still is, "You forgot your thingy." It's just it's so him, and it's so perfect. It's so like sweet and innocent. Like he's like, "I don't know what to do with this. Get it off me." It's like, what is that? Everything that Mark says, it's not even a line, but like when he kisses the ballerina's foot, like just that interaction with them is so him. It's adorable. "Welcome to Music Town. May I service you?" One of the best lines in the film.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's good. What about you, Lee? What are some of your favorite lines?
I want you to take these, hands up the CDs, hold them against your chest, stand against the wall. They're going to take a photograph of you. Why don't you go shove them up your ass? Because it would hurt a lot, Warren. It's, the whole thing with, who's your favorite singer? Axl. If Axl Rose was driving down the highway and saw Rex Manning stop, do you think he'd hop out and help him? Does Axl have a jack? And then Warren just comes in. He's like, "No, he's gonna swerve and he's gonna hit the gas pedal. He's gonna crush him." And then, of course, midnight. Our record's open till midnight, and like he's got the thing. Everyone's around him, open till midnight. Then somebody, they ask, "Oh, lady, open." Midnight, hangs up. I love it. But just all the weird little things, and of course, we mustn't dwell, not on Rex Manning Day. Like the seriousness with which this kid has adopted this holiday in his mind of somebody that he doesn't even like, that nobody there actually likes, but like they feel like it's significant for an arbitrary reason. I mean, it just comes through so well, I thought.
Yeah. What about you, Alex? No, she changed your name there. Mark, open till midnight.
We're open till midnight. So there's a lot of good stuff. Anything, again, Warren's got some phenomenal lines. Joe is watching the movie over and over again. You realize that Joe works really well with the guys and has no idea what to do about the women. Like, he doesn't know that Deborah's got this major problem. He doesn't know about the speed issue. He doesn't know, all this other stuff. And these are things that, as a manager, you should probably notice.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. When one of your employees is a speed freak, you should notice these things. But there's a wonderful moment in which Liv Tyler's character comes in to explain that she would like to take Rex his lunch. And he's like, "Burko's doing it." And she goes, "No, don't. Burko's going to be mean to him. And I don't care if he lights a firecracker, and doesn't." And finally, Liv just snaps and slams her hands down and goes, I'm getting Rex's lunch."
Yeah.
And Joe just looks at her and goes, "Okay." And she goes, "Thanks, Joe," and bounces out of the room. It's a wonderful scene. Obviously, I've already said it twice. I don't have to explain my art to you, Warren. That is a line that my family uses on the regular. Did you have hair when you walked in there?
Yes.
Yeah, I did. It's still in the
Yeah.
sink if you want to glue it. Like, that's a line in this. The people just know that AJ glues stuff.
Yeah.
And they're all okay with it.
I want to ask you guys, who's your movie crush in the film? Lee, I want to start with you.
Oh God, it's all over the place. It's weird saying it because I don't like her in anything else at all, but Renée Zellweger. She was awesome in this, and for years I thought it was Joy Lauren Adams.
Yeah. I know. You aren't alone there.
But then, as I got older, it kind of turned into Robin Tunney because I don't know if I'm attracted to crazy or that's all I can get, but I do like crazy troubled women. But I think it's, they all have something really awesome to kind of offer. And also there was like you forgot your thingy line, just the realness of like the girl borrowing the bra to go seduce Rex Manning and then giving it back. Because that red bra is not a Liv Tyler or like her character's kind of bra. So, and she just does the thing and like, here you go. Like how casual that was. Such a brilliant little moment. And of course, boobs.
Lacey, who's your movie crush?
Joe, Anthony LaPaglia, like hands down. I loved him in Betsy's Wedding. I think was probably the first time I saw him. And anytime he's in a movie, I've followed him ever since. So I Married an Axe Murderer. I mean, and then this, I just
did.
I have a confession to make.
Okay.
I just found out he was Australian.
Oh, really?
No idea. Of all the things I've seen him in, I've never seen him use his natural Australian language. Usually he plays tough guys. He's played Italian guys. No idea.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Alex, who's your crush?
Rex Manning.
Rex Manning.
I mean, he is so sexy.
It's that hair. It's that hair.
Short.
There you go.
Yeah, he's got good hair.
No, I think a lot of us were like really hip to Renée in this film. She was the bad girl who just wanted to be adored. And again, it's a case where if you really look at the women in this film, like none of them are treated well. They're all treated horribly in this film. And so I mean it makes things difficult as you watch it over time. But yeah, it's like Liv's character was way too innocent for me. Robin Tunney, who I loved in The Craft, who was making this at the same time as The Craft, was just like I hadn't hit that stage yet. So it had to be Renée for me.
Debi Mazar.
I
like Debi Mazar, got no problem with Debi Mazar. But like I feel like I get Debi Mazar confused with so many other actresses.
Well,
or maybe I've just seen her a bunch of stuff. I don't know. I
was crushing on Liv. I was at that age. I was watching those videos, and this was kind of her first big movie, and it was kind of a big deal because we were wondering, was she going to come out of the shadow of being the I just recently found out that Steven Tyler Aerosmith was my dad phase, so that was a big story. And she just had this kind of just cute innocence about her too. And she was funny as well and charming. And so I was definitely crushing on her, guys. Well, let's go ahead and let's get into the cast here, guys. And I want to start off just real quick with the director. And I was kind of curious who he was, and his name's Allan Moyle, and I realized that he directed one of my other favorite movies from the 90s because it came in 1999. That was Pump Up the Volume. And before that, he hadn't directed anything since 1980 when he did Times Square, which is a really kind of a cool offbeat film about radio and music and such. And then he did The Gun in Betty Lou's Handbag, and did a movie back in the 70s called The Rubber Gun. He did The New Waterford Girl, Jailbait, Exchange, Weirdsville, Say Nothing. Man in the Mirror, the Michael Jackson story. And so I just thought that was cool. He did two really cool iconic 90s teen films, which I thought was pretty cool. But let's get into that. I want to get into the rest of the cast here, guys. Anthony LaPaglia plays, of course, Joe Reeves. We've got Rory Cochrane as Lucas. Ethan Embry is Mark. And I'm showing pictures here. If you're listening to this, check out the video on YouTube. I've got a then and now picture, side-by-side comparison. Liv Tyler, of course, is Corey Mason. Renée Zellweger is Gina. Robin Tunney is Deborah. Johnny Whitworth is AJ. Debi Mazar. What was her character's name? I forgot to put that up. Forgetting it.
Jane.
Thank you. And of course we have Coyote Shivers as Burko. And we got the shoplifter, Brendan Sexton III as Warren. Guys, I want to talk to you about the cast real quick because and Kyle brought up this idea this was showcasing a lot of the really popular or upcoming actors at the time. And it's kind of interesting to see where they went in what direction. And pretty much most of them have stayed relevant, working in television and crime shows. Renée Zellweger, obviously the big standout out here because she's got 2 Oscars now, if I remember correctly. Liv Tyler, of course, got famous doing, and doing Lord of the Rings and other films as well. And Robin Tunney did, what was it? The Mentalist. I remember I watched that show for a while. She was great in that. So most of them has pretty much stayed where they were, but are you surprised? Like some people aren't as popular as they, maybe Renée Zellweger is. Give me your thoughts on the cast. Let's start with you, Lacey.
The one person in the cast that I thought was going to immediately have some I guess opportunities was Rory Cochrane. And I think that the closest, I think Love in a 45 was the next thing he did, and that was with Renée Zellweger. But after that, most of his stuff was still very, very indie, very, very niche, very, up until probably mid 2000s when he was in Argo and he sort of started doing some more like adult roles or whatnot. But I thought that he was going to be just like boom, instant.
It's funny you say that because I kind of rediscovered him in the I guess it was a miniseries on TV, Mario Puzo's The Last Dawn with Jason Gedrick. And he kind of played like he ended up going evil, but he was really good in it. So yeah.
And as far as the ladies go, Debi Mazar, she actually became one of my favorite audiobook narrators.
Really?
She does. She does she's got a bunch of different ones that she's done. She did the there's the Number Murders. It's a detective thing.
Gotcha.
She started at like number 4 and just kept it.
She just did 7 seasons of the TV show Younger, which I ended up marathoning. And if you haven't seen it, it's a great TV show about a 40-year-old woman who's trying to get back into the working world, and she has a youthful look. And the only way she can get a job is pretending to be 26, and she passes for it. And Debi Mazar plays her best friend, and she's really good in it. So yeah. What about you, Lee? Who are some of your favorite actors in this?
I really loved Ethan Embry in this. And I got to say, I love him every time he's in something. After this, him and Liv Tyler went and did That Thing You Do. He played the bass player, and his character's name in the credits is TB Player. Like you never actually hear him called anything. And like we put the print together, we watched it, and we realized as we're reading he doesn't have a name. It's like the narrator in Fight Club. It's like he did it years before, and it was funnier. But you see him in that. You see him. He was Rusty, aka Nick Papa Giorgio in Vegas Vacation. He was in Alexandria in Walking Dead. He did a season of a TV show called Las Vegas with Dennis Quaid. He's always been working. He's always kind of in the background, but just a really charming actor. I've been a big fan.
Would you say he might be mostly known for Can't Hardly Wait?
And then he had a resurgence with Sweet Home Alabama.
Yeah.
Harold and Kumar as well. Yeah.
Yeah. But funny guy. I really, if you were to like look at the poster and look at the cast list, you'd think AJ would be the one that had a big career. But that's just kind of the fickleness of Hollywood. You think of Debi Mazar. I mean, in the same year, she was in Batman. She was Spice, one of Two-Face's girlfriends.
That's right.
She had a great recurring role on The Sopranos. She was in the Stephen Dorff opus Space Truckers.
Yes, thank you for a shout out for Space Truckers. Oh, she was cute in that. Oh,
but I think that Renée Zellweger, really, if she hadn't gotten Jerry Maguire, she wouldn't have gotten Bridget Jones, and that kind of took her into a different level.
And they're bringing out number 4 now. Bridget Jones 4 is coming out, just announced. Yeah.
But she had the sheer dumb luck of Jerry Maguire being a good movie, and the as you were saying earlier, the women weren't treated very well in this movie. Her character was kind of a sideline in the movie to like everything, even Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character was like, it's all a service to Jerry Maguire's ego. But she was still able to turn in a great performance. I think that got her recognized for other stuff. And then just kept on building and building stuff that would keep a fan base. Chicago, which somehow beat Two Towers for best makeup effects in 2003. Who knows? But I think that with Liv Tyler, I just realized they were head-to-head against each other. Oh yeah, that was. But with Liv Tyler, she's always had these big blockbusters. I mean, she did Armageddon, which is crap-tacular. That needs to be a couch potato theater because it's so bad, it's so watchable.
I love that movie. It's so bad. Yeah.
But and then she gets Lord of the Rings and just does some beautiful stuff with it. Does a few Kevin Smith movies, and I think it's just the fickleness of Hollywood. You never know who's going to make it. And Rory Cochrane, he disappeared because he did 5 seasons on CSI Miami.
Yeah, that's right. Just because you mentioned it, Lee, I have to show you in arm's length. I have Space Truckers on DVD right there. Check it out.
Of course you do.
Dennis Hopper, Stephen Dorff, and Debi Mazar. Fun movie, by the way. Let's go to you, Alex. If you can get over my Space Truckers DVD there. Who are some?
I'll try.
Who are some of your favorite characters? Are you surprised by any of the trajectory of their careers?
It's yes. I mean, for lack of a better term, Johnny Whitworth, I thought for sure was going to be huge. Mm-hmm. He had that young everyman kind of safeness about him where he could be a lead character, and he really hasn't. He's a guy who's done a lot of work, but does a lot of his stuff, as a secondary character.
And he's still got great hair.
Oh, still.
Damn him.
Yeah. I think, I think he's still working, which, God bless him. Because being quite honest, let's be honest. When you're in your early 20s and you're doing films like these, there's a very good chance that you are one and done. There's a very good chance that you're going to have a burst of films and then not work anymore. People aren't breaking down Freddie Prinze Jr.'s door for starring roles. And yet in the late 90s, he could do no wrong. So I think that and that's no slight on Freddie Prinze Jr. It's just an example.
Yeah.
Also, he and Whitworth and Embry were all in Can't Hardly Wait. So yeah, I think there's a lot of people in this film who could have been even bigger than they were. But considering the fact that we are discussing a film that I believe you said made less than $1 million at the box office.
Yeah, actually, I'll get into that. Let me get into that right now, actually. So, a little details about the film. The film was a severe flop, guys. It was making only $150,000 in its opening weekend, and by the end of its run in North America, it earned a total of $303,000 against its $10 million budget. At an hour and 30-minute runtime, dropped on September 22nd, 1995. And the total was $303,841. I can't explain why this film did not do well. I seem to remember it getting good press. Unless one of you guys have an idea, I have no idea, because this feels
What
like
was it up against?
I don't.
That's what I'm looking for right now.
Well,
But also September releases are kind of, that's the doldrums because everyone's going back to school. You don't have the same thing, so like it's sandbagging it, like putting something on Saturday night on a network.
Yeah.
And on Rotten Tomatoes, the film has an approval rating of 31%, with the consensus saying, despite a terrific soundtrack and a strong early performance by Renée Zellweger, Empire Records is mostly a silly and predictable teen comedy. Metacritic gives a score of 30%. Variety called Empire Records a soundtrack in search of a movie, describing the film as a one-teen music effort that never finds a groove, before adding that, quote, as far as chart action goes, it could use a bullet and put it out of its B.O. misery. Ouch.
I'm sorry, let's go after Magnolia Lover and Wampa One. Straight up, I want to get their names and like go Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back on these idiots that don't get the brilliance and the charm of this movie. Damn them!
No, I hear you. Go ahead, Lacey.
It was up. It came out. It was the same weekend as Seven and Showgirls.
Ouch. Okay, I see why.
And then To Die For. Let's see. To Die For was right then as well. Bridges of Madison County and Halloween.
Curse of Michael Myers.
Yeah, whichever one that was.
I was probably seeing Showgirls first, definitely. So
also, I feel it's important to mention the Disney classic, The Big Green.
The Big Green.
I don't even remember that one. Wow, big.
Oh, yeah.
Roger Ebert called the film a, quote, lost cause, but wrote that some of the actors might have a future in other better films. LaPaglia, Cochrane, Zellweger, Tyler, Embry, and Tunney all went on to varying levels of success in the years following Empire Records. And
real quick, I just saw LaPaglia in a episode of NCIS Hawaii, and he was dressed like a high school gym teacher playing an old cop, and it's like, it was really cool, but like he's this old hard-nosed cop, but he's just in like these checkered patterns, like all halfway to retirement. It was so funny, and I'm like, man, Joe is not looking superb today.
He's in a series.
Lacey.
He's got a series now. It's like, I think it's like 7 or 8 seasons long. It's called Without a Trace.
Yep.
He's the lead detective, and it's a kind of a
these crime dramas have all kept most of these employed, which is great because they're very, very popular, But when it comes to movie wise, obviously Renee's on the top, followed closely probably by Liv there. Now, regarding the DVD, the special edition DVD contains 16 minutes of deleted footage edited back into the film. On June 3rd, 2003, Warner Brothers released the remix special fan edition DVD of Empire Records, the unrated version, 107 minutes. And for the 2015 Blu-ray release from the film's new owner, 20th Century Fox, only the theatrical cut has been included, with the extras ported over from the 2003 remix special fan edition there. So I haven't seen the Blu-ray one, but the classic DVD is working for me right now. Out of curiosity, how did you guys view this recently when you were watching it? What about you, Alex?
I still love the music. My sister was the one who pointed out to me just how poorly the connection is between Joe and the women who work for him. There is a serious disconnect between them. But again, this is a film from 28 years ago.
How did you watch it? How did you watch it recently, though? Did you watch it on streaming or DVD?
I Watched it earlier today on my phone.
Nice.
Because I own a copy on streaming,
Gotcha.
along with my 2 DVDs and
Okay.
my videotape.
Okay.
But yeah, for me, it was like it was going back and realizing, like, for me, just how good the music in it is, and I think the music is stronger than the film.
We're going to get into the music in just a second, but I want to ask
Sure.
Lee real quick. How did you watch it recently?
I watched it at the office on streaming. It was on, I believe, Hulu. It was a Hulu and Amazon,
Yes,
but Hulu was
it
free
is
for
on.
me.
It is on Hulu right now. Yes. Yeah.
And funny story, my office is right next to a therapist's office, and one of the therapists is very loud, as is their patient. And when I'm hearing things that I shouldn't be hearing, I turn the TV on. And so I was watching that. I'm like, oh, I need to watch this anyways. It was last week. And I'm like, yeah, might as well. And so I started watching it. And the GM comes in for the first time in like a month. And he's like, why are you watching TV? And I'm like, hold on a second. I turn it off and you can hear everything. And he's like, what is that? I'm like, they're with a client. I don't really want to be listening to this all day. And he's like, oh, okay. Can't you put your headphones on? And I'm like, I'm not going to wear them all day. And he's like, okay, fair enough. So I got out of trouble.
Nice.
But, yeah, it was just the weirdest situation. But yeah.
Lacey, how did you watch it recently?
It's funny. I was about to stream it because I couldn't figure out what I had done with my Blu-ray, and so I finally just went down to because I know I've watched it recently, a few months ago, and I went down to the pile of crazy, and I actually found my VHS, my DVD, and my Blu-ray.
Nice. Very, very nice.
I watched it on Blu-ray this time around.
I had popped out the DVD because I didn't know if it was streaming for free anywhere, and then I did a search. It was on Hulu, so I decided to watch it on Hulu there because it's a little bit better quality. But I did pop in the DVD just before we went on here to watch the special features and the deleted scenes and such, and the music videos. So that's always kind of fun. But let's go ahead and get into the soundtrack, guys. This soundtrack, some people might say, depending on who you talk to, might say is better than the film. I think they're a great complement to each other, and a lot of the big songs we have here, of course, have songs by Gin Blossoms, the Cranberries, Edwyn Collins, the Martinis, Toad the Wet Sprocket, the Innocent Mission, Better Than Ezra, the Ape Hangers, Cracker, the Mises?
The Mises.
The Mises, thank you. Drill, Luster, Please, Evan Dando, I remember him. Coyote Shivers, of course, because he's in the film, and the. But there's also a lot of music that's not on the soundtrack, by songs like "Hey Joe" by the Dirt Clods, Noah Stone, "Thorn in My Side" by Quickstand, "Little Bastard" by the Ass Ponies, of course. "If You Want Blood" by AC/DC, Dishwalla, "Counting Blue Cars." Dishwalla was one of those bands that were from my area, so I knew who they were. Mm-hmm. Peg Boy, just so many, and of course Guar, as we talked about. I want to get your comments on the soundtrack here because they really played well to the music in this, and they had to. Let's start with you, Alex.
So point blank, I've been on other podcasts where we've talked about great soundtracks. This is always on my list. I feel like this soundtrack, one, plays to the benefit of the film. It becomes as much a character as many of the people in the movie. And from that, we get an excellent time capsule of the music of that moment. And it's all the different styles from, we have a moment where Joe just needs to unleash. And so that we've got music for that. And honestly, there's a reason why Say No More, Mon Amour is still loved by people who grew up with this film.
That's good.
It's
by the
not
way,
a
you
good
skipped
song,
that in the stuff that was not included on the soundtrack.
Yeah, little disappointed you did not leave that. You did not mention that was left off the soundtrack, sir.
Yeah. Well, that's why I have you guys here. Lee, let's go to you next. The soundtrack, what did it mean to you, and what are some of your favorite songs?
I Want Money. That's just such a great moment in the thing. Till I Hear It From You, the Gin Blossoms. I I didn't realize until I was separated from it for about like 5-10 years, but just how much that song takes me back to 1995. Like, it's just, that is one of those songs, like Longview by Green Day, pretty much anything that we can still sing the words to from Alanis. It's just such a 95 niche song. Say no more, no more. I mean, it's just such a catchy and stupid. And I didn't even realize until you had that screenshot set up of him standing by the thing that the name of the album is Back for Amore. That kills me that they put that level of detail into something that, oh my God.
Yeah.
But I love it. I also want to say Toad the Wet Sprocket, their name is a very deep Monty Python reference.
Yep.
That when I first heard them, I was that dork. I'm like, hey, Monty Python. Everyone else like, shut up and sit in the back of the lunchroom.
Toad the Wet Sprocket is from my hometown here in Santa Barbara, and they played all the time. And they had that one hit, and they're still around. They're still touring and stuff. What about you, Lacey? Give me your thoughts on the soundtrack. You got any favorites on here?
Musically, I know 2 of these songs that I would recognize. I've seen the whole movie. I have the soundtrack. I enjoy the soundtrack. I could not tell you, I couldn't hum any of them except for Sugar High. And Mona, whatever, say no more, Mona more. But it's fun, nice, yay. That's all I can really say about music.
I love, one of my favorite scenes is when they sing Sugar High with Coyote Shivers and Renée Zellweger, and they're up there and they're singing and they're going back and forth. That's a great performance there. Some of the songs that are my favorites that are not actually on the soundtrack is Plowed by Sponge. That was played all the time. But what's really funny about that song is that a lot of people forget what the name of the song is and the name of the band who actually plays it. But like, everyone can instantly recognize it because it played all the time. It's a really good song. But I think that was probably one of their one hit wonder. But
it's their only hit. Plowed is used when they're starting up the party.
Okay.
When they're having a get together here at midnight at Empire Records.
And my eagle ears did pick up one of my probably my favorite hair metal song, Smooth Up In Ya by the Bullet Boys, creeped in there, and I thought that was good. So, because by this time hair metal was like dead and gone because grunge was everywhere.
I love the usage of Romeo and Juliet in this film.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is done so perfectly. It's a nice slow moment before more chaos occurs. And it really is. No, the way that it's used in the film is we're seeing a day in the life of Empire Records.
Yep.
Absolutely. Because
right.
Everyone's doing their thing. And then, yes, we're going to get to more plot, but first we need to set the tone. It's not unlike, and here's where I take a big step. It is not unlike the way that the sun or the lighting is transferred in the dinner sequence of Citizen Kane, which is to indicate the amount of time that has gone by.
Sure.
So I feel that we cannot ignore the significance of Empire Records when compared to Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
And that's when he kisses the foot.
That is where he kisses the foot. Yes.
Of Maxwell Caulfield's stepdaughter.
Yeah, because he's dusting at all that time. Yeah.
I did want to mention the filming locations. They were filmed. Most of this was filmed in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Yep.
Obviously Atlantic City and New Jersey area, but Wilmington was starting to become kind of a little bit of a film mecca, and it kind of came to prominence because of The Crow. And what happened with the tragedy with Brandon Lee there, because they were filming that there. And of course you had Dawson's Creek being filmed there as well, a bunch of TV shows. The exteriors were filmed at 15 South Front Street in Wilmington, North Carolina, in a bar that had a few feet of space converted into a replica of the store, which was located at the Carlco, now Screen Gem Studios, and finished with a large picture of the rest of the store. This allowed the actors to enter the exterior location doors and walk a couple of feet before the scene would cut to the exterior set on Soundstage 4 in the studio. The large mural of Gloria Estefan, which Mark kisses early in the film, was visible for many years on the separate building on South Water Street that stood in the back of the store. I wonder if that's still there. Probably not. But anyway.
Probably not.
All right, guys. I'm gonna call an Alba Hill. We're gonna go straight into trivia. All right, guys. This will also take us into the fun section too, Rex Manning Day. But I want to mention that Rex Manning's music video, Say No More, Amon Amor, was shot on Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina in one day. It was shot before principal photography, intended as a 17-second dance move piece for the main actors and actresses to make fun of. However, the music video director shot the entire day and gave the producers a 4-minute, 30-second music video, which we all thankful for to this day.
You can find it on YouTube. It's out there.
Yes, you can.
It's definitely out there.
The movie was severely edited in post-production, removing 3 significant characters and up to 40 minutes of footage. The story was also condensed from occurring over 2 days into a single day. The movie was originally filmed as 2 days, of course, and cut down. I want to actually go to you here, Alex. You being the one of the biggest movie nerds that I know. I think this works as a one-day thing.
Oh,
yes. I think it would have been nice to maybe got some of these characters in there, but I love these movies that take place in one day.
There's a beautiful part. I was actually thinking about this earlier. Is that this is a single day in the life of Empire Records, which means that there's other staff members. This is not a case where it's all hands on deck. This is a case where, like, there was no reason for, we know that Liv's character, they say, isn't supposed to be in until the afternoon. So why was she on a register? She's not on a register because she could be on a register. There's these things. These places are all living creatures. These record stores, video stores, all of them, they are living, breathing creatures, and they all have different items and people who are coming in and out of them. This group is that group that was there that day.
That's a good point.
There's a Steve somewhere out there who had the day off and had no idea any of this was going down.
Yeah. Lacey.
Does it worry you that maybe this is like the trauma team? Because in this movie, in one day, they've dealt with domestic abuse, violence, suicidal ideation, drug addiction, gun violence, losing their jobs to the corporate, to the man, like literally everything that can go wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong. But it's like season 27 of Grey's Anatomy. Like what?
That's good writing there. That's good writing.
To be fair. Nothing bad happened on this day. Not on Rex Manning Day.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, Lacey, you had one more thing?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So in one of the deleted scenes, a makeshift rooftop band is arrested and taken away. This was based on the real life incident, the Beatles playing on top of Apple Records building and being stopped by the police. I remember, didn't that happen to you too, where the streets have no name? Didn't they play on the top of a building in LA and then the cops came up and stopped them, if I remember correctly? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Also, Warren was supposed to have had a sister, but her scenes were deleted from the final cut. Bummer. And the true name of the character Warren Beatty is never revealed. He's just Warren. It's interesting.
In fact, his badge for Empire Records, his name tag
says Warren. Yeah,
I work here.
Love it. Most of the actors and actresses in this movie, as we mentioned, Anthony LaPaglia, Rory Cochrane, Johnny Whitworth, Robin Tunney, Ethan Embry, and Ben Bode were later cast as main characters or guest stars in one or more popular crime dramas. And when angrily leaving, Rex Manning parting words are, "Why don't you just all fade away?" which are the lyrics from the song My Generation by The Who. All right, guys, let's get into the topic we've been wanting to discuss for a while here, guys. Celebrated annually, Rex Manning Day, April 8th, commemorates the day that washed up 1980s pop's idol Rex Manning, played by Maxwell Caulfield, visited fictional Empire Records. On a previous Rex Manning Day in 2018, Ethan Embry confirmed the deeper meaning behind the decision for Empire Records to take place on April 8th. The reason we picked April 8th as the day to have Rex Manning Day visit Empire is because Nirvana frontman Kurt Cobain was found on 8th of April, the day the music of the 1990s lost its mascot, end quote. Cobain was found dead April 8th, 1994, exactly a year before Empire Records took place. Let's talk about Rex Manning Day, guys. I have a small confession to make here. And my confession goes to you, Alex. You put the post on social media last year that this was Rex Manning Day. If you know, you know. And I'm like, crap, I need to show Alex I'm smart. I Googled it, figured it out. I did not know about Rex Manning Day. I had not revisited this movie like in 20 years, I think. So I didn't know this was a thing. And when Kyle and I were talking about this, I'm like, maybe we should do a couch potato theater of that for Rex Manning Day. And then Kyle knew. Everyone else knew. I didn't know. But Alex, this is all your fault. I'm lying to you. But tell me about your experience in Rex Manning Day.
So let's just be honest. Rex Manning Day is just a meme. That's all that it is.
Yes.
We are not making special brownies for it. We are not listening to Guar's cover of Say No More, Mo No More. But I
Why not?
But I want to. Because if anybody could pull off Say No More, Mo No More, it would be Guar. It's a meme. It's people who love this film and who know that April 8th was Rex Manning Day, because it's Mark says it. We can't be down. This is not not today, not Rex Manning Day. So it's one of those things. I mean, he's an idiot, but he's a lovable idiot. And he lets us know that on a day like Rex Manning Day, there's no reason to be sad. There's no reason to be bothered. There's no reason to be troubled, because it's April 8th and it's Rex Manning Day. And if you know, you know.
Lee, Rex Manning Day. How long have you been celebrating it?
Probably about 5 years or so. I honestly enjoy it more than May the 4th.
Nice.
Wow.
No, not saying that I like this more than Star Wars, but it should be May 25th is Star Wars Day. That's the original release date. I'm that old nerd. Like, hey, I get the joke and everything. However, there is just something. The way this movie makes me smile is the way, there's not a scene in this movie where I'm not just kind of happy watching it. Even the depressing stuff, I'm like, yeah. When people, if they know, they know, and you say Happy Rex Manning Day, there's just this feeling that's more than haha, may the 4th be with you. What a great pun. Shut up. It was old when it started. Kind of like the B sharps in The Simpsons, to go back to that Beatles reference. But it's just so much joy when people know the movie. Because I said it to somebody a few years ago, and they straight up did the crazy lady singing, "Say no more," and just did it. And I'm like, that's my new favorite person today.
Lacey, Rex Manning Day. What does it mean to you?
This is actually one of my, top films that is, when I went back to school in my mid 30s to college. And so all of my film classes were full of 18-year-olds in, 2008. And so it was kind of one of my go-tos to show all of my classmates at that point. I think that's kind of when I got into doing the little Rex Manning of it all every year, just watching it at least once a year and having fun with it.
It's funny when I went down the Rex Manning Day rabbit hole, I found all kinds of Like I even found like Rex Manning Day fabric where you can make like your clothes and hats and pillow covers. I found all kinds of stickers and t-shirts. It's funny how this is kind of taken on a thing by its own. As you mentioned, Alex, it started out as a meme and it's become a lot bigger than that. And I found an article that came out in 2021 on the Hollywood Reporter talking to Caulfield. He says every April 8th, Caulfield knows his Twitter feed will blow up as he takes great delight as it signals the film is being enjoyed by fans old and new alike. Quote, the movie holds up. It was a lovely experience. I just wish the studio had backed the film more at the time, he says. And as for where Manning would be now, and I love this, I think he would be a judge on American Idol. Caulfield says, laughing. I don't think he'd throw in the towel. He'd be a real trooper. I thought that was a great response to that.
He'd be working Vegas.
Oh, totally.
He'd absolutely be working Vegas.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
There is a time.com article from 2018 discussing Rex Manning Day. And that was the moment that I was like, okay, Time Magazine is talking about this. Well, and I just think that's bizarre.
We almost had something more recently. It was announced on April 6, 2018 that a musical adaptation of the movie was aiming for Broadway in 2020. The announcement stated that the show would be produced by Bill Weiner, music and lyrics by Zoe Sarnak, and book by Carol Heikkinen, who was the one that wrote the screenplay, of course, based on her own life there. But it was put on hold due to COVID-19 pandemic, and I don't know if it has resumed or if they have plans to continue it or not. But man, that would have been cool. Fingers crossed, Lee. That's right.
Yeah. I go see that right next to Hamlet 2 any day of the week.
There you go.
I love Hamlet 2. You are my people.
I want you guys.
I'm not Warren. You're Warren. That's how
Hamlet,
it works. Yeah.
hated Hamlet too. Absolutely.
I want to get your guys' final thoughts on this film, and let's go ahead and start with Mark. Open till midnight. Alex, your final thoughts on this film.
This is a great time capsule for 95. I feel like it deserves its place as a cult classic. I feel like it's the cleaner version of Clerks.
Mm-hmm. It's a great point.
It's a movie that's perfect for anybody who is going to be going to work, anybody who wants to. And honestly, these kids in this film, if this movie was made now, these would be the kids that are be like, no, we're going to do something different. We've created millennials are damn the man, save the empire. And I freaking love that. All right. You Gen Zers, love you. Kick some ass.
Lacey, your final thoughts on this film?
You know what? I think it was fantastic. I loved it. And I think that Liv Tyler was probably the standout in this just because she had to do that one scene while her stepfather was on the set, which is interesting. I don't know if we mentioned it, but Coyote Shivers was her stepdad at the time.
Yeah, so that was awkward because he was married to her mom. Yeah,
B.B. Buell. Yeah, and this is right before he was married to Polly Perrette from NCIS.
Oh wow, another NCIS connection.
Lucky bastard.
Yeah. He's married to someone new now. Don't know who. I can't remember. Anyway, loved it. Loved the purse. Loved the shoes. Loved it all.
I didn't give you a chance. I forgot to ask you, was there any other trivia you wanted to throw out there, Lacey? I know you were kind of talking about some stuff. Anything else that you wanted to mention?
I think I mentioned that Maxwell Caulfield's stepdaughter was in it. She was the ballerina, which makes her, since he's married to Haley Mills' twin sister, that makes her Haley Mills' niece. And then Ethan Embry, his two siblings, his sister and his brother, are also in it. Using the last name Embry. I'm sorry, using the last name. He used the last name Randall. They used the last name Embry.
Gotcha.
The brother was the guy he was moshing with at the beginning.
Okay.
When it opened, and the sister was I can't remember. I looked it up somewhere. I saw them in the credits, and I was like,
right.
And then I went and looked it up. But now
Cool.
I can't remember.
That's all right.
And then
Lee-
Coyote Shivers was, stepdad.
Lee, your final thoughts on this film?
Like I said, this is a movie that just makes me happy watching it. It's the verisimilitude of like life. Like it's not realistic yet it's real.
I'm sorry. Back up. What was that word you just used?
Verisimilitude. Yeah, it's a fancy word, but it's but like it's not realistic, but it's very real. And piggybacking on what Mark I work here says, this is like a less profane Clerks, but like it's also not just a collection of monologues, which
Sure.
I love Clerks, but that's kind of what it was. However, Clerks had as much swearing as you would get from this staff. There would have been much more swearing in the record store there, especially independent. But start to finish, there's really not a part of this movie I don't really enjoy. I think it's amazing, and like I said, it did the impossible. It made me really enjoy Renée Zellweger's performance in something.
Oh man, yeah. I think you said it right, Alex. This is a timestamp, and it takes us back to a certain time where we really enjoyed going to places like this, to enjoy these moments. It was record stores, it was video stores, it was malls, it was theaters, stuff like that really, really made this a lot of fun and important to do. But I wanted to ask you guys, first of all, our final question here, our final 5x5 question. What happens next? Either 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, or 5 years. Lacey?
Oh man. Okay. Let's see. 5 minutes later, everyone's just, hammered on the roof talking about what they're going to do next.
Nice.
That's what you do when you work in a record store. You sit around and talk about what's going to happen next. Like that's what you do.
Yeah. All right. What about you, Alex? What do you think happens next? Give us 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 weeks, months, or years, maybe.
Within the next 5 years, Lucas accidentally burns Empire Records to the ground. It's just something that happens. There's an unfortunate coffee issue. Nothing survived except for the quarters.
What about you, Lee?
I feel like 5 years later, Lucas is still there, Joe is still there, and Mark. And one of the girls walks back in and sees them there, and they sort of have a realization like everyone else moved on with their life and they haven't. And they realize, oh, yeah, whatever happened to AJ? And he made it as an artist, but hey, he's not together with Corey anymore. That you just have this set like, okay, when does life start? Because Joe's there at this age, and then 5 years later we get, Lucas at that age. Like, why are they still doing this? Why is this still happening? And what is it that has kept them there? And what is it that sent everyone else away? And I think that would be a really interesting follow-up, kind of Clerks 2 style.
Nice. Very nice. I'm having a little bit of StreamYard issue here. So hold on. Give me 1 second here. Yeah. Sorry about that.
We are Kevin. Say some Autobots rollouts. Come on, just say it.
All right. Autobots roll out.
No, Megatron, don't kill me.
Anyway, guys, I want to thank you guys so much for coming on. I really appreciate this. And Alex, I want to say again, it was your fault, and thank you so much.
My pleasure to the both of you.
Let's go ahead and let's get you guys, tell us where we can find you on the interwebs. Lee, I know you.
Yeah, you can find me on that sofa. I'm not going to move 1 foot off that sofa. Otherwise, you can catch me on Instagram and Facebook. The Way of the Way, Madman Road Productions, my film production company. Double Action Martial Arts. You can find me under my real name. And otherwise, you don't find me, I find you.
Alex, where can we find you on the interwebs?
Why are you looking for me?
Good question.
You know what? You can find me on Instagram at went_there. And that's about it right now. We've got the YouTube channel, which is in hiatus at the moment, mostly because we haven't gone anywhere. But we do have the YouTube channel of we went there, which is our travel vlog. And
you and Tally are having fun with that.
We have had, yes. And we've got a couple of big trips coming in April. We're going to see the Augusta Green Jackets play some minor league baseball, which I'm sure I'll be filming part of. And I am going for the first time ever to the Huntsville Pop Culture Comic Expo, which has been talked to me repeatedly by Lacey, who said, no, you've got to come out. We'll have a great time. So I'm looking forward to seeing you, Lacey.
That's awesome.
And I'm not going to be able to go because my house is under construction.
I just want a picture of you, Alex, in a air duct. Oh, come out to the coast. We'll get together. Have a few
I'm not getting stuck in an air vent again.
Thank you guys for coming on. I just want to give a shout out, first of all, to Kyle, who couldn't be with us today. He is on Twitter at AKyleW, Instagram at AKyleFandom. I'm Kevin Reitzel. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Spartan_Phoenix. Please, of course, if you're listening to this, check out the YouTube on video. Please subscribe to the Fandom Podcast Network on YouTube. We'd appreciate that. Fandom Podcast Network is on Twitter and Instagram. Give us some love on your Apple Podcast, iTunes reviews and stuff like that. We very, very much appreciate it. Lee, thank you as always. I'll see you in the immortal world soon. Thank you for coming on.
Travolta Nabisco e pluribus unum.
Lacey, as always, appreciate you. We'll be back, of course, working on Time Warp Part 2 for 1983.
Yeah, and let me know if there's ever a Hamlet 2, because I'm in. Hamlet 2.
I'm
writing that on the list right now to do that. Alex, thanks again. Dan, I missed you, dude. It's so good to have you back, man.
I always love getting a chance to talk to you, man. It's been a lot of fun. You've had a lot of opportunities. You've been nice enough to send me invitations to things. I just haven't been able to do them. But I do thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be on this one.
You bet. All right, guys. Well, thank you everyone for watching and listening. And until next time, we will see you on the couch.